I want to begin with Mitch McConnell's statement on the Senate floor. And I stayed glued to the Senate floor after you left. I expected some speeches. Chuck Schumer gave what may be the best speech I've ever heard him deliver, and he's delivered plenty of good ones, about your work. And then, to my shock and amazement, Mitch McConnell stood up. And by the time he was 3 or 4 sentences into it, I was absolutely stunned at what I was hearing. And I began to wonder, where are the managers right now? Are they all gathered together? Are they in a room together watching what Mitch McConnell is saying? Where were you when you heard what Mitch McConnell was saying on the Senate floor?
We were, most of us were in the anteroom we had worked out of throughout the trial, S219. And, your first thought is, like, has he picked up one of the manager's closing argument? I mean, he made the closing argument that we made. And it was very clear throughout the trial, he was paying very close attention. And what we knew is that a substantial majority of members of the United States Senate found the former president of the United States guilty of inciting a violent insurrection against the government of the United States, 57-43. And virtually every Republican who voted to acquit the former president didn't say, oh, he didn't do this, you didn't present sufficient evidence. They relied upon one of these bogus constitutional arguments that Trump's lawyers advanced, either a First Amendment argument, a due process argument, or for the first time in our history, this argument that you can't impeach former officials, even though we have done that on many occasions, and that has always been the rule of the Senate. So, what we understood was we had presented overwhelming evidence of the president's guilt, but there were certain jurors, certain senators who were committed to figuring out a way to let him off the hook, but they couldn't refute the overwhelming evidence. So they had to admit it and then find one of these make-believe constitutional claims to avoid finding him guilty.
But so you're gathered together, most of you anyway, and you're hearing Mitch McConnell say this. Are you just kind of looking at each other stunned as you're hearing this?
Yes. I mean, it was obviously an acknowledgement from the Republican leader in the Senate that the House managers had done their job, that we had met the burden of proof that was required, that we had established the former president's guilt of a constitutional crime, inciting an insurrection against our own government, where 5 people died and so much damage and injury followed. So, we heard that. It was hard to reconcile that with his not guilty vote, but he had written a letter to the caucus earlier that morning saying he intended to vote to acquit the former president based on a constitutional argument that former officials couldn't be tried. So I think he was trying to have it both ways. It was very difficult to listen to because the Senate minority leader acknowledged the overwhelming evidence of the defendant, of the former president's guilt in inciting this insurrection and then doing absolutely nothing about it as his own vice president, the Speaker of the House, and members of Congress were under direct attack and faced imminent death even if these domestic terrorists had gotten to them. And his answer was, you got what you deserved. How could you expect anything different when you stole the election from me and from my supporters? It was monstrous what the president did and really disappointing what Senator McConnell did.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.